welcome to the Gali Health Body Positivity and Ostomy live chat here on Facebook. We are so excited to have you here with us tonight to hopefully encourage you and help educate you and just share our stories about our experiences with our bodies and ostomies and how we came to accept that in that journey. So we're going to dive right onto it. My name is Amber, and I am from the Ostomy Diaries, and I will be moderating this chat tonight. We definitely want to hear from all of you that are watching, so feel free as we go to leave us questions in the comments, or you can share your story. We love hearing those. And share this video to your page and help us raise awareness. So we'll jump right into introductions. If you just want to say your name, your platform if you want to, and what led to you getting an ostomy and what type of ostomy you have. Sarah, do you want to start things off for us tonight?
Sure. Hey guys, my name's Sarah. I am chronically Sarah UC on Instagram. And I have a permanent ileostomy, and it is because of my ulcerative colitis, and it is an stoma.
Thank you, Sarah. We are happy to have you here. Okay, Justin, do you want to go through your intro?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Justin. You can find me at thriving.with.crohn's on Instagram. What led me to having my ileostomy was I was really I had a lot of my bowel chopped off or chopped out over the years, and the medication got stronger and stronger, and I had my Crohn's since I was 2. So at the age of 20 or 21, I got really bad, so I had to have my emergency operation.
Understand that. Mine was an emergency as well. So we are glad you are here with us, Justin. Krista, why don't you give us an introduction, please?
Hi, I'm Krista. I've had Crohn's disease since 2001 when I was just 9 years old. I've exceeded all medication, and I've had a couple other bowel resections before my ostomy surgery. And in 2018, I went through with my ileostomy surgery, and it's temporary.
Awesome. Thank you, Krista, and thanks for being here with us. All right, Joel, do you want to introduce yourself? Say hello to everyone. Oh, I don't think, take yourself off mute. I don't think we can hear you.
Sorry. Hey,
okay.
everyone. My name is Joel. Joel Nixon. You can find me at chronicallyfit.com. Chronically fit. It's not chronically. Someone had that already. But I was
play on words.
Yeah. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2007, and 2016 is when I guess it got so bad, so severe that I had to. I was admitted to the hospital, and I had an emergency ileostomy surgery, and it's a double barrel ileostomy, which from my understanding is kind of like I think they take the intestines, cut it, and they're both out, sticking out of the stomach. But yeah, I got that in 2016, and it's reversible.
Cool. All right, thank you, Joel. And London, will you give us an intro?
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is London Hara, and I actually got sick in 2016. I had surgery in 2018, and the doctors told me that they were willing to give me. They made it temporary because they wanted to do the whole J-PAL surgery, but I'm kind of holding off on that, just on a personal decision, just to see how everything goes with my career and everything. It's kind of better this way, to keep it this way. So I have to either keep my bag or choose my career. So
and you just got your pilot's license, right?
Yeah, I actually just got the IFR rating to my
pilot. That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you, ma'am.
An awesome accomplishment. So thank you everyone for being here. that's going to be an amazing time together. So, the first thing that I wanted to move into was, oftentimes surgery is an emergency, like some of you said. And then sometimes patients are able to choose to have the surgery and they have time to prepare. Mine was emergent. And so that can bring its own issues into the mix, and kind of how you're feeling about it right there from the get-go, and how you view the surgery, your perceptions on what you know beforehand. So I want to get some of your all's stories on if you were able to prepare before, or if it was an emergency, and how that affected your view of having an ostomy. So, Justin, why don't you share with us first? You're in the hot seat. I'm calling on you guys.
Yeah, no, all good. Throw me in there. So when the first time I saw an ostomy was when I was 12 years old, and it was on the cards as like, it was one of the options for me to have an operation with. And I remember rocking up to this guy's house, and he was like, he was a big fat guy. It's only the only person my parents knew who had one. So he was big, fat, and like he was telling me about how he could swim well. But I remember he showed me, and he changed his bag in front of me. So he took his shirt off and saw his hairy belly, and he changed it. I'm like, oh, this is the most disgusting thing ever. Like, and from a young age, I linked an ostomy with that kind of stigma, right? And it's like, what you only hear about old people having it. So the thing that I was really concerned about was girls, right? Growing up, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, you're like, man, like, well, life's all about girls, So that was for me, like most of my schooling life and most of what I wanted to do. And the thought of having a bag was like off the tables. I'm like, there is no chance in hell that I'll have it. So I opted to go for more and more heavier medications and whatnot. And I remember like I was 18 and I had a big stricture in my ileum, and they gave me an option, like, do you want a bag or do you want to have it cut out and join? I'm like, oh, I'm too young to die a virgin here, so just do the resection, So they did that, and then
so you're wanting to put the ostomy off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I just saw that it was the most ugliest thing ever. And so one of my coaches, I got a few like mentors and coaches, he said to me, look for the positive opposite in everything. Everything is an opportunity to take your life to the next level. Make the unsexiest thing about you the sexiest thing. And I said to him, look, I might get a bag, he goes, man, that's so hot. You need to call it it's your sexy bag. It's your ostomy sexy bag. I'm like, yeah, but that's bullshit. He goes, well, you got to look for examples of where it is sexy. And I was like, okay. So I did research, and I saw I saw this guy on Instagram, and he was a bodybuilder, and he looked amazing physique, and I saw some other people who had I saw this other girl, and she had like a bikini, and she had an ostomy, and like, whoa, okay, maybe it's not, if I get a bag, maybe I still won't die a virgin, So that was the thing. But for me, it was a lot of stress really like drove me home and really made me very sick, and was the lead to a lot of my operations. So yeah, that's
Thank you for sharing that, Justin. It can be scary, and I definitely wanted to put mine off as well, and I appreciate you sharing that. Does anyone else want to piggyback off of that? Maybe someone who chose to have their surgery and planned for it and really advocated to have that. If someone wants to jump in, go ahead, London.
I actually did choose to have my surgery. I was at the time I got sick, like it just kind of all happened really fast. I actually tore my ACL when I was playing soccer in the Navy, and when I got my surgery, I ended up getting an infection in my knee, and I was on like heavy antibiotics, and just if you guys know, antibiotics is like the worst thing that you could put in your gut at that time. But yeah, so everything right after I stopped taking the antibiotics, everything just kind of hit me at once. And then my quality of life was so bad that I couldn't do it anymore. And I was looking at like other people's stories on Instagram, and I was reaching out to them, and they were sick for, 5, 6, 7 years before they got surgery. And I was like, how? Like, I didn't even understand. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna go that long living like this. And so after talking to the doctors, and they found out that that was going to be, my only option, because I wasn't responding to any of the medicine. And it was my entire large intestine. It wasn't like just the side, it was the entire large intestine, and it was just very severe. So they were just, I don't know, they just kept saying, oh, well, we can try this or we could try that. And I was just like, okay, no, we're not trying anything else. We're just gonna get surgery. I can't keep living like this. But
yeah. And I know you're super into fitness. Were you afraid of, people seeing it or anything like that? I mean, how were you? I know you wanted it to feel better, but were you afraid of that image?
I was at first. At first, when I got sick, and they brought it up like very early, like this is probably what's gonna happen. And I was like, no, like that's not gonna happen. And I was like, I'll figure out a way. I'm just going to start eating better. Like all this stuff, I started trying to figure it out. But then I was just like, all right, you know what? Like, is it worth it to feel this way? Or am I going to care about what people think about me? And I really just, quality of life was so bad that I was like, all right, it doesn't even matter. Like I will live the rest of my life by myself if I have to. I was single at the time. So it was just so like, I don't know, not traumatizing, but it was depressing, I guess. It just kind of got me real low, the fact that I had to go through all of that, just kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, I feel like it was actually, it was difficult, but just time, you figure things out with just
Right.
like, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. You mentioned that you were single, and that can affect your view of the ostomy before surgery. I know there's a couple people on here who were already in relationships when they either scheduled to have their surgery or the emergency surgery came up. So, would anyone who already had that relationship like to share about how that may have affected how they viewed the ostomy? Sure, Joe. Y'all can just raise your hands. I'm a teacher, so I'm used to it. We'll just raise our hands.
So actually, when I was in a relationship for 2 years, and I didn't tell my girlfriend about Crohn's disease at all. I kind of tried to hide it all the time. I was like darting to the bathroom. We would go out, and I would be late. Sometimes she would be upset, and I didn't tell her that that I had Crohn's disease. And in the end or the beginning of January, it was I had a flare up, and it gotten bad, but I didn't take myself to the doctors or anything. So I'm just trying to maneuver through life in a flare up in April. That's when it got that bad that I had to take myself to the hospital. And that's the same thing. I didn't tell anyone. My family know I had Crohn's disease, but my girlfriend didn't. So I take myself to the hospital, and my girlfriend asks what's going on. I tell her I'm in the hospital, I'm sick, and she comes there, and the doctor comes in while we're talking, and that's the first thing he says. You're like, yeah, well, your Crohn's disease is so severe at this point that you probably have to get a ileostomy. And
Wow.
I talked to the doctor. He leaves, and then she's like looking at me like, what is this?
You're
And
like, what?
and I was like, I didn't tell you I have Crohn's disease. It's a illness that affects your digestive tract, and pretty much just try to get her up to speed in a little bit of time. And it affected me. Me having a girlfriend, and another thing, I was in personal training. I actually had a interview, I think the end of that week, to get a personal training job at a gym, and so that didn't happen. I thought, how could I actually be a personal trainer after getting this? Because a body image, everyone wants to look a certain way, and seeing me with a bag and talking about health and wellness, I didn't think that was a thing that I could do, or people would look at it and say, oh, okay, I believe this guy. So it was really upsetting. I even cried like in front of me and my girlfriend. We like cried together, and
Oh,
yeah, after the whole thing, just getting over it, I just felt like I could do it. I actually started Googling everyone. For some reason, I didn't look on Instagram, but I Googled and YouTube, and I found one guy. I think his name was Blake Beckford, and he did fitness, and I think he even did a competition where he was on stage posing with his bag. And when I seen
wow.
that, it made me have hope. I was like, I could be all right, with this bag. So after
Yeah,
that, it was okay.
yeah. And that's what's so amazing about this community. You go out to Google. Thank goodness for Google. I don't know what people did before Google, but we look to others for hope, and that can really lead into our next question here. Were you able to find patients who had positive experiences with their ostomy prior to surgery? Let's hear from one of the ladies. Did you all were you able to find someone, maybe a model or a friend or someone that you knew that had one that shared a positive story? Were you able to find that before your surgery?
I guess it's not really a model, but I actually talked to one of my best friends when I was in a really bad like flare up for a couple of years, and she's kind of been through my Crohn's journey since I was diagnosed, and just a childhood friend. But then she actually went into nursing, and I had this conversation with her, and she's like, you know what, Krista, like what about an ostomy? And that kind of just got
Wow.
me thinking about that, and that was maybe a couple years prior to. So, and then after I've kind of just met, well, I had I guess Reina versus food
Yeah.
on Instagram. I
Yep.
said,
I follow her.
like, uh, it was just, I said, well, if she can look like that and she's confident and it hasn't stopped her, I said, well, if she can do it, like, I can do that too.
That's awesome. Sarah, what about you? Did you find anyone or did you know anyone who had an ostomy before you got yours?
I personally didn't know anybody with an ostomy. I got really rapidly diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in 2014. Almost lost my colon close after. Remicade reversed it. Never really got into remission, and so I was pretty bathroom bound, and spent a lot of time on Instagram. And through the ulcerative colitis hashtag, I found people, girls my age,
Yeah.
Iliostomy Crohn's Princess, Zoe Wright Fitness, these girls that are just beautiful, that have bags and just rock it. And it was like, wow,
Yeah.
that was very eye-opening to me, because I knew that was my future. I knew it with how bad the toilet looked with the blood, how many times I was going, how much steroids I was on and couldn't get off, all the biologics that weren't working. I knew that was in the
Right.
cards for me. And so I wanted to know what my reality was, because my doctors actually told me I'll be better in 2 years. And I was like,
Wow.
so yeah, so that was a little discouraging, but I knew that wasn't the case. But so I really looked to social media to see kind of what my future held. And in turn, it actually made a really positive experience with my ostomy. I was able to watch videos. Actually, Amber, I watched a lot of your videos before my surgery in 2018,
That's
seeing
awesome.
how people changed their bags. So I really prepared myself for it. So I really have to
Right.
thank Instagram and the IBD ostomy community for helping me with that transition, because I don't know without that and my boyfriend, who also has Crohn's, if it would have been
Yeah.
as easy of a transition.
Exactly. And I'm so thankful for people who, even if they don't show their bag, they're sharing their stories, because I think, having the information is so important. And if you're watching, we are going to put a link to download our Gali app in the comments. So you'll be able to find resources and connect with other people. But, search those hashtags on social media, hashtag ostomy, hashtag IBD, whatever your condition is. I want to encourage you, if you're contemplating surgery, please do that, because there's people out there who get it. I know all of us get it. And that makes a difference for sure. So, you know, in finding other patients and relationships and, you know, everything combined, was there one specific thing that made you more comfortable? You know, was it something that you found, like clothing? I know I've talked about the ostomy wraps for intimate moments. Was it getting, you know, back into the gym and working on, you know, your physical health and your body? What helped you guys become more comfortable with your ostomy and ultimately sharing about your ostomy? Go ahead, Sarah.
It's me again. You know what really helped me, honestly, was not being in pain and not living in the bathroom. I was going to the bathroom almost 50
Raise your hand if you agree
times
with Sarah.
a day. I mean, you know, for me, my doctors really pushed the J pouch, and just for me, I know that, you know, lots of people have it and love it. I didn't want that. I didn't want the potential of that flaring up. I don't want to go to the bathroom normally ever again. That's how much of a hell ulcerative colitis was. So waking up and feeling better, minus the Barbie butt, was quite humbling.
Yeah. And that was the case for me too, when I started to see, you know, how much better I felt and how much it improved my life, and I was able to live. I was like, heck yeah, I don't care if this bag is on me because I feel awesome. So if you're watching and that helped you accept your ostomy, was feeling better, then give us a thumbs up emoji in the comments, because we want to hear from you guys too. Was there anyone else that wanted to share about maybe a specific thing that helped you feel more comfortable about your ostomy, whether it's personal or sharing? Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, this is it's a very interesting concept that I was pondering on for a long time, actually. What really worked well for me was this concept of what I see on the inside, how I see the world, is how the outside will respond to me. So it's a concept that was taught to me a long time ago. And a lot of this stuff I'm drawing from like my dating experience, because it was exactly that, you know. So the real confidence came from when one of my mentors, he said, true confidence comes when you remove all insecurities. And so insecurities are just thoughts, and they're just perceptions, and they're just generalizations about how the world is. So like with and they're only supported by a story. So like one belief I used to have was, for example, having a bag is not sexy. And what stories did I have to back that up? Well, not many. You know, I saw this, you know, like I told you about the guy with a big belly. I saw I found that, like, yeah, I didn't really have that many. There were just like all these false representations of what I thought was real. And so what really helped me get comfortable was to look for so many different examples in the world of when it was true, when it was sexy. And then what I did after that was, when I had my operation, I asked all of my female friends, you know, would you still get intimate? Would you be intimate with me if I had a bag? You know, and they're like, yeah, it's fine, it's all good. And I'm like, okay, they're my friends. They're just, you know, blowing smoke on my butt. I'm gonna now take it to the next level. Let's see if really beautiful women would still think the same thing, right? So I was thinking, okay, where can I meet beautiful women? I was still very shy and afraid of talking to beautiful women. So I went to a strip club, and I was like, all right, cool. So I'll pay for lap dances, but instead of getting a lap dance, I'll ask them, I'll interview these girls and figure out, and just say, hey, look, you know, remember, so I rocked up to the strip club, like my heart's beating at this moment, like, wow, like I'm really gonna like do this. Like, where did I come up with this stupid idea, right? But I like to explore, and I like to like push the limits with my personal, like, my mindset, right? So I got my tipping dollars, and you know, this girl comes up to me, she's very beautiful, and then you know, she's giving me, you know, she's giving me a lap dance. I give her the money. I'm like, look, in all honesty, I just want your opinion on something. I've come here because I'm really shy and I have a colostomy bag or an ostomy bag. Would you still find it sexy, or what's your perception on it? So I did a mini interview, right? And she goes, it's fine. It's all
The
good.
honesty of a stranger, I think, is, you know, I mean, what do they
Exactly.
have in it? They don't have a dog in the fight. So it's
Yeah,
not like your
exactly.
friend who's trying to not hurt your feelings. So, and
Yeah.
you have to do things and put yourself out there, you know, and
Mm.
still live your life. You know I did have a bad experience with a guy who ghosted me when I told him I had to have ostomy surgery. Still haven't talked to him to this day. We had been dating, but you know what? I think, and I want to encourage anyone who's watching who's ever been hurt by someone else saying something negative, that's a reflection on their character. And if, you know, everyone goes through something in your life, whether it be health or with your career or whatever, and you need someone who's going to stick by you because everyone goes through stuff. And I firmly believe if it wasn't your ostomy, it would have been something else that they would have
Yeah.
found, because you just gotta be selective on that inner circle, and put yourself out there, and if they receive it well, then they're genuine. I
Well, that's
think would
the
be
yeah, I would say also on top of that, like that's absolutely perfect because the people in your life, in terms of like, I would say everyone in my life I'm in a relationship with. So whether they be a friend or my, the people I'm dating, they're all in my inner circle. And so my concept is this, right? If we're hanging out together, I'm going to be my most vulnerable version of me around you. You're going to get the most authentic unicorn energy. You're going to get like everything. So no filters, no nothing, right? And and it's a giving energy. So it's just give, give, give. Now, the people in my life, I've had to go through a lot of people because I've met a lot of those types of people who judge. And with the people who judge, I feel like I can't be myself. And it's not really a question of, are they finding me not sexy? It's like, for me, love is in all my relationships, like I said, friendships and my partners, it's like those need to be just authentic and just a union. Like, so I guess what I do is now I really like I see these people as beautiful and like perfect. You're perfect the way you are. The way you're not, let's come together. And the moment it becomes very difficult, and the moment it just becomes like it's just like this tug of war, I'm like, relationships should be when you're hanging out with someone, your life is getting better. Like my life is getting better because I'm giving and they're giving, and we're going to this next level. And I don't use things as bargaining. Often like in our day and age, we use things as a bargaining chip, like intimacy or sex or whatever, or like friendship or money. We're like, I'm going to do this in order for this. So that's like a thing to consider, is those people in your life, when they're with you, it should be a better experience. So it's not really a question of someone leaves you because they don't like your bag. It's more a question of like, who do you want part of your tribe, who's going to bring your life to the next level? So that's what I would say is like, I've now filtered my circle smaller, but I know that the people that I hang out with, they're enhancing my life so much more better because I do that to them,
Exactly. And it has to be mutual. You lift them up, they lift you up. And London, I saw your hand a minute ago. Did you have something that you wanted to piggyback off of?
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback off what you were saying in terms of, when people decide that is what they're going to judge you off of. I've had people just the same thing decide not to talk to me as soon as I brought that up. But, it's not necessarily a bad thing at all. I've had this talk with multiple people and they ask me my perception on this whole thing. And basically it's just a filter to help us weed out the bad people. I'd rather people do that with me as opposed to just wasting time.
Exactly.
I feel like it helps so much better that we're able to just clean cut, get that out of the way. I can see who you are for who you are and just go from there. So it's not a bad thing that people, I don't see it as a bad thing that people completely just stop talking to you because of that.
Well, you see people's true colors. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Justin. Those are great points about, it goes both ways. You lift people up, they lift you up. And if they show their true colors, then see you, bye. But it's just, it can be hard sometimes to let those relationships go, but sometimes it may be what's best. And I know that, community has been a running theme here, and I've made so many friends because of my ostomy. I've several friends on here, all of you guys, that I wouldn't have met had I not had my ostomy. So, I'm thankful for that. Sarah, Krista, Joel, did you all have something that helped you feel more comfortable about your ostomy, whether that be a relationship or a person, that you wanted to share? I know we got more into relationships, but was there something, maybe besides a relationship that helped you feel more comfortable about your ostomy?
I think viewing, oh, sorry. I didn't
We'll
raise
get,
my hand. I just started
that's
talking.
okay.
But I
We'll get
think,
to everybody. We got time.
yeah. I think it's really important for us to look at ostomies as lifesavers.
Mhm.
And if we can just digest that, no pun intended, a little bit, like, I feel like that goes a really, really, really long way in being comfortable. And
Yeah.
I was even talking with my boyfriend before this. I was like, how am I supposed to go on here and talk about body positivity and an ostomy when my boyfriend has Crohn's and was the first person to change my back? I'm
Yeah.
lucky. I'm an anomaly. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
But I want to use that benefit I have to really try and, put myself out there on Instagram and have other people be comfortable, because that's my goal. I want to have other people look at my page and be like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. She did it. I can do
Right.
it too. So yeah, just I
Right.
think looking at it as a lifesaver, just kind of changing perspective on it. It's a prosthetic device. You don't have that body part anymore. I mean, is it as fun to talk about colons as maybe a missing leg? No. But you
Right.
can hide it if you want to. And it brings up great conversation.
Yeah. I joke about poop all the time. I bring it up maybe even when I shouldn't. So thank you for sharing that, Sarah. I feel like sometimes humor can help you feel more comfortable. I know that trying to joke around and be more lighthearted. Somebody earlier had said, the way that you portray it and talk about it is how other people are going to perceive it. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that it's important, if you speak about it as something positive, like a lifesaver. This saved my life. My life was in jeopardy. Tell your story and talk about how that's the reason you're alive. I know that, raise your hand if your ostomy is part of the reason you're alive. So if you look at it as a lifesaver and something that helps you live your life, I think that can help you become more comfortable. And for the people watching, I know all of us are, we're on the other side and we're more positive Polly about it. And that's a journey. It's a journey to get to sharing about it, and it's a journey to find peace with it. And everyone finds that in a different way. So Joel or Krista, did you all have something that you wanted to share that helped you feel more comfortable about your ostomy?
Well, for sorry, for me, it was a number of things that everyone said. It was not having that pain anymore, or getting my quality of life back. Me feeling like I'm able to go to the movies and not have to run back and forth to the bathroom. My girlfriend, she never ever looked at it as a problem or anything. So whether just me taking my shirt off or whatever, it
Yeah.
was fine. And just friends and family. Like I have three brothers, and all of them, they just make jokes about it, which we joke about all the time. So it's always funny. So when they just talk about it like it's nothing, my friends, they don't have a problem with it. And I'm introvert anyway, so I don't really have like a whole bunch of friends. I have a small circle, but they were all fine with it, and they talk about it like it's like it's just an everyday thing. So that's what made me comfortable.
That's awesome. And it's awesome that you have those people close to you that you can share with. So thank you for sharing,
Mhm.
Joel. Krista, what about you? I think you're still on
There.
mute.
Okay.
There you go.
I guess actually naming my stoma has actually helped accept it, because I can refer it. My stoma's named Stella, so when I refer to my ostomy or my stoma, I always call it Stella, and so it's become easier to talk to even family or friends, right? They'll ask like, how's Stella, or you know, and it just kind of opens up that conversation, like it's part of me, and yeah, it's that kind of has helped. And I guess even my perspective like on body image before my ostomy, where I was so thin I couldn't gain weight and I had to shop in children's clothing, and then, you know, fast forward to 2 years later where I'm able to gain weight. So actually my stoma has, you know, has given me, my body is healthy again, where I can gain weight, my hair is growing again. And so really, like, having that transformation has made me feel more of a woman, and more confident in myself. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I know I named my stoma as well. Mine is named Trixie. I think I was still maybe on pain medicine. I'm not sure. I just came up with it. I don't even know anyone named Trixie or anything, but it helped me to name it, because then when I refer to my ultimate, like my close friends or some of my coworkers, I'm like, oh, Trixie calls, you know, gotta go. And it's, especially being a teacher, it's not weird to be like, oh, my ostomy, I'm just like Trixie, and I go to the bathroom or whatever. So if you're watching on the Facebook Live, if you have named your stoma, let us know what you named it in the comments. We would love to hear those. I've heard of some pretty funny ones. I've heard my friend that's actually from my hometown that had a temporary ostomy named her Stella. So Stella the stoma kind of rolls well. Has anyone else named their stoma on here?
I have.
Maybe it's a girl thing.
It's a girl thing. Mine's named
We're
Poppy.
weird.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
That's
It's
awesome.
no big deal.
So I know a lot of us here have shown our ostomy online, and that can be difficult. You know, there may be some cultural stigmas there or barriers, or, you know, you may be worried about your career, like Joel. So if you have shown your ostomy, you know, maybe what was the first time you did that and how did you go about it? I'd love to hear some of your stories about how you went about that for the first time. London, I see you laughing, so go ahead and come on.
Man, that was a very very tough time, but it was actually it didn't take me long. I kind of just, you know, took some time out to go. I remember I went to the river and I was just at the river for like 4 hours, and I was with my dogs and I was just walking around in my bag, and then I was like, man, like I'm not gonna post, like, if you got, I'm sure Amber, you see, I kind of have my shirt off a lot, but I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to like be myself anymore. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many outdoors things that I do, and I just was like, there's no, like, how am I gonna do this? And I was like contemplating back and forth, like, okay, how am I gonna hide this? And I'm like trying to figure out how I'm gonna hide it. I was like Googling things and researching things, and then I was like, you know what? There's no way I could live my life trying to hide this thing the whole time.
Yeah.
And I literally, as I was at the river, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna just go for it. And I kind of just experimented with it. I remember I posted a picture just saying that I was out of surgery, and like I've been like off social media almost like the entire time before that. People didn't even know I was in the hospital or anything, so it was kind of like, oh, that's where you've been. And you know, I got a lot of positive feedback, and you know, people would just telling me like how they respected the fact that I was, you know, able to just come out and just be okay with accepting, you know, myself, because this is who I am now. Like it's not going to change later. You know, this is who I am, and once you accept that, I feel like that just made life just so much better. I literally felt the weight just be lifted off of me as soon as I was just okay with myself.
That's awesome. And you know, I think, you know, for me, I considered keeping my ostomy a secret And the way I kind of told is when I was in the hospital, I requested prayer on my Facebook, just keep me in your thoughts and prayers. And I wanted that support of, yeah, I didn't want to feel alone, I guess, in that time. But I know as far as my Instagram goes and all of that, even my first YouTube videos, which are cringeworthy when I look back on them now, but I didn't show my ostomy. I just showed an ostomy bag that was not on me. And I know that's what a lot of people do, and that helps them feel more comfortable. And that was kind of how I stepped into just, rocking out with my bag out. Before I did that, I just showed an ostomy, not the one that was on me. So, but once I did, a weight was kind of lifted for me too, just showing it. But, you don't have to show it. If you want to keep it concealed, that's totally fine too. Does anybody else want to share about how they started to open up that very first time, maybe showing a friend or showing it online, whatever? Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, so a really interesting story. I watched Magic Mike and I was like, I want to be Magic Mike, And so I was, so I'm 31 now. So this was when I was 24 or 20, about 24. And I said, I want to be Australia's first colostomy bag stripper, And so I called up all the stripping agencies and they didn't want to have me on. They're like, you're too scrawny. Called up all the pole agencies. They didn't take me on. And I remember I was like, what am I going to do about this, Because I always had this concept is like, I want to leave the world a better place than where I was brought on, And like, if I came here, I want to make sure that it's better. And the thing that I discovered was like, I've been given the gift of being able to push and challenge myself, because I know that on the other side of challenging myself is growth, And so the gift that I wanted to leave the world is colostomy bags are sexy, because the old stigma, which is not true, is they're unsexy. And now I see it as like this amazing device. Like I would never doctor said I could reverse it. I'm like, I don't want to reverse it. I don't want to have to go sit on dirty toilet seats. I don't want to have to deal with like having to wait in the line to go to the bathroom. I don't want to have to deal with like bum rash, when you're wiping, or I don't have to deal with like when you're sitting on a toilet and like someone else has been there before, it stinks. And I think like, I see my bag as like an upgrade. It is like the best upgrade because, and I never hide it as well. Like I never ever hide it. Like I was like, no, you know what? My mission is to make, to inspire 1 million people to see it as sexy and as an upgrade. It really is. Like now I tell my friends and they're like, oh dude, I wish I had a bag. I wish I had one. I'm like, yeah, man, you're dude, you're missing out. You're old school. Like you want to spend half an hour on the toilet? Like, dude, I spend like less than a minute. I'm like in and out. Like I'm super efficient, dude. Like you're like
That's
way,
amazing.
yeah. So these are the kind of like hacks, and these are like the things that you have to reframe, because none of them are like, we've inherited all these concepts of what a bag is, what normal is, but it's all made up, because who says what the concept of normal is? Like we may think we're living a normal life, but you may go to Dubai or like to India or to South Africa, and their concept of what normal is normal. So the redefining factor is a really important thing that I see, and I never wanted to hide it, and I always wanted to wear it as a shield, and not as a shield, but as a trophy. And now when people meet me, they're like super inspired. They're like, man, you're so inspirational. Like, how are you so inspirational? And it's not a thing that I have to hide. It's actually a thing that people really now, just strangers and people of like Bumble and Tinder and whatnot, they're like, dude, you're so confident. Like you're, and it's such a turn on as well, because they're like, this is incredible, right?
Confidence is key.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and being really okay with it is so important. So the other thing that I did was so go back to the story where I wanted to be Magic Mike, and it was such a, I don't even know why I did it, but anyway, it's
Well,
it's
you're
good
killing it. It looks like you're
I
killing
did.
it on Instagram.
Yeah. So
So
I did pole dancing for a year, and then they had the student showcase. I can tell this story for like hours, right? But I'll keep it super short and succinct. And I remember so my routine was to My Pony Genuine, so that song. And then so anyway, so I remember there I've got my hat on, top hat on, I've got my suit jacket on, I got my my pants to rip off, and I can see the crowd of girls. So these are all the pole dancing girls, and there's like about 100 plus women in the audience, and the song comes on and I'm like, boom, 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 I'm like, oh, my heart's beating, and like, okay, so I take my first step, second step, and everyone's screaming. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. And I really look for those moments where I go to myself, it really isn't that bad, right?
Right.
And then so I did a routine to take my jacket off, threw it off, and then everyone's just wolf whistling, screaming, cheering, and then then I bring a girl on stage, and she's super like into it, and then I do like my lap dance on her, then take her off, and then I rip my pants off, and then I throw my pants into the crowd, and everyone's screaming, and I was like, wow, this is not that
and you're
bad.
like, the ostomy didn't even matter. So
it didn't even matter. And like, I've had thousands of people see me with my shirt off. Like, I've walked down Bondi Beach, which is Australia's busiest beach in well, maybe I don't know. I think it's the most renowned beach we have, right? And people may look, they might look like that for half a second or like 20 seconds. I'm like, oh, who cares? Like, that's whatever.
Yeah.
Like, anyway. But in all the thousands and thousands of people I've met and I know and who've seen me with my shirt off, I've only had 2 people in my life who've responded negatively. And I've had a lot of even like one night stands and things like that. And even when I have a one night stand, it's not like this bad. Like, I've never had a bad reaction. I've always had someone say, oh, does that hurt? Is it okay? Right. Are you fine? It's like, I'm like, wow, like my concept of a girl saying, ew, that's ugly, like, get that thing away from me. Like, it never ever happened. It's like, oh, like, should I be gentle? Are you okay? Is it reversible? I'm like, hell no, I'm not gonna get rid of this. This is great.
And on that topic, we do have a question in the comments that I want to make sure that we get to from Sivan. I hope I'm pronouncing that name wrong. I apologize if I butchered it. And any of you can answer this one. What was it first like when you found out it would be permanent? I'm curious because mine is supposed to be temporary. So was there anyone, I know mine was originally supposed to be temporary, and I chose to keep it because, I was afraid of the risks of having the reversal. So is there anyone who, how did you feel when you either decided to make it permanent or you were told it would be permanent? Does anyone want to weigh in about that? Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay. It's not the most exciting story. I went into it wanting a permanent stoma, just because I wasn't wanting to go the J-pouch route, and I didn't really want to have another surgery to like change the loop stoma. So I just ended up deciding I went straight to the permanent. I didn't even go temporary at all.
Right. And so has anyone else decided to keep it permanent? I know I did. Sarah has. Justin, London, didn't you decide to keep yours, at least for now?
Yeah, I definitely decided to keep it permanent, but it's not permanent right now. It's, in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to risk it, at least until they get some more practice or something, but there's just risk. Yeah.
Right. And Krista, I think you're maybe contemplating having yours reversed one day, aren't you? Or
well, my surgeon,
I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure. My surgeon, I actually pushed for my ostomy surgery, and I guess the whole team, they weren't really convinced it was my best option, but since I was so persistent, they were like, okay, just give her what she wants. And they left it a temporary because of my age and because I was getting married in 4 months and I want kids. So they said, let's just keep it like a temporary. So if, if you end up hating it, which they were convinced I was going to hate it, that I had that option. So I kind of wasn't stuck. And I think that also helped my mindset going in, having a positive mindset, because in the back of my mind, I also knew, I was like, okay, well, if for some reason this is not going to work or it's not for me, then I kind of had another plan. But with how well the last 2 years have gone, I'd be happy with keeping it. But we haven't really had that conversation yet. So.
Right. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, everyone, for sharing so far. I think that, maybe some advice for our viewers would be focus on your health. If your ostomy is benefiting your health in a positive way, try to focus on that if you're faced with being told it's going to be permanent, or whether you're trying to decide on whether or not to make it permanent. Focus on, I tried to look at things that I couldn't do before surgery, which was I couldn't even eat chicken broth, versus what I can do now after surgery. So I think that a good positive, we've got about 6 minutes to end on, would be maybe what is something that you couldn't do before surgery that you do now? Just to put some encouragement out there for our viewers. So Sarah, your hand's up if you'd like to share that.
I can drive in a car without having an accident. That's the best thing about
That's
my
awesome.
accident. I can be in a car and not shit myself.
I had the same thing happen to me. I was coming off the interstate and I'm like trying to roll up into an Exxon and I'm like, I may have an accident on myself in my pants, and maybe a little bit of it did. I'm not gonna put those details out there.
And just the last thing real quick, just for all the viewers out there, I want to let everyone know I have not had one person make fun of me for having an ostomy, degrade me, think I'm stinky, think I'm unattractive. So for all the viewers out there who are facing an ostomy or live with one and think that all these stereotypes are true, they aren't at all.
That's exactly right, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing. London.
One last thing I want to say to the audience as well is that we are all coming together to talk about, things we can do after we have an ostomy. But for us who have kids or are planning to have kids, I'm training my son right now, and he's seen me go through my worst throughout this entire experience. He's seen me like kind of bounce back and everything. But I don't think the society is, in terms of like the doctors, are doing enough to help us prevent these kind of things from happening. And one of the just real quick things I wanted to just touch on is that we need to start paying attention to what we eat. I feel like I've talked to multiple people who have ostomies, and we kind of have similar diets. And, I just want people to just kind of start thinking about what we can do to prevent this from happening, as opposed to just focusing on, how to deal with it after the fact, in case you guys, are planning to have kids in the future.
Yeah, thank you. And I love seeing things that you post with your son, and y'all doing activities on the beach and stuff. You're such an inspiration, and how, you're being a rock star dad. So kudos to you. Thank you. Does anybody else want to leave us with a closing thought, maybe a positive piece of advice or something that you're thankful that you can do now? Go ahead, Joel.
Well, a thing that I did that I didn't think I would be able to do before, I went through an entire, it was 4-month police academy. And
wow.
I was with the ostomy, and I feel like if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I was still able to do the exercises and everything like that. So my last thought is just to I would say to just just continue to do, or it's nothing you can't do, even
Exactly.
without, even with ostomy. So don't be afraid to show it off, or just try new things, or just do whatever you used to do. Yeah,
Exactly.
life will still be good. Like for me, quality of life is 100% better with it, whether it's relationship wise or job wise or anything like that. It's still all good. So you can still live a good full life.
That's amazing. I definitely 100% agree with that. I don't think there's anything that I've wanted to do with my ostomy that I haven't been able to do. I go hiking, I go swimming, I've gone snow skiing. London's a pilot. Justin has been a sexy dancer. Krista's a teacher. We're all killing it, and thank you all for putting that positivity out there. Before we go, Krista or Sarah, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to share with the community, inspiration or just something you're thankful for? And Justin, I don't know if I got to you either, so we'll get to everybody real quick before we log off.
I guess what I'm really thankful for is just the ability to be able to work in my classroom without, wondering if it's I smell myself or it's the students in my classroom. And just being able to have a busy life and
Right.
not have the disease interfere with my quality of life too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel the same way. I'm so thankful, that I can have a career now, and I'm going back to grad school, and those are things that I wasn't able to do before. I was constantly hospitalized. So thank you for sharing. Justin or Sarah, did I get to Justin, do you want to share something before we log off?
Yeah, sure. What I'm super grateful for is the ability to not have not to be in pain and have to get up every hour of the day to go to the toilet. I'm so grateful for that. I'm really grateful that we have, and we're now redefining what it means to be and to have an ostomy, to be sexy and to be cool. I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful for how compassionate humanity is, like men and women, and how accepting our generation really is of people with disabilities and conditions. I think in the previous generation, it was much more harder. There was more stigmas, and in this generation, I don't think it's everyone's. It's this real unity. So it's really, I'm fortunate and grateful to be born in this time where, we can thrive. And the other thing I would say is, if you are considering having it, it's not that bad. It actually enhanced my life and made my life really good. And there's so much to be said about mental mindset and power of positivity, but that itself is like a snowball. It's an avalanche. You got to build that momentum and keep being positive, because eventually you're literally rewiring your brain. So that's what I would say, is just keep a chin up and look at the bright side in every situation, because the reality is there is a bright side in every situation. Even with having your ostomy, man, like your ostomy can be the most sexiest and best thing that's ever happened to you, and it can be the worst. But the thing that makes it the thing that makes the difference is how you perceive it. So
Exactly.
choose what you want to perceive it as.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your stories. You are all so inspirational to me, and I'm sure our viewers, and y'all are killing it. And I'm so grateful to know each of you. Some of you have been friends with us for a while, and some of y'all are new friends. And to our viewers, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're grateful. And know that you're not alone. I know we shared a lot of positivity, but we are sensitive to the fact that some of you may have questions or struggles. Definitely reach out to Gali on Facebook and download the Gali app in your app store. And if you have more questions, there's a chat feature that you'll be able to ask questions, and we can send you resources, because we do want to be that support and community for each of you. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We are signing off now. So talk to you all later. Thank you.
Guys, thank you, Jenna.
Thank you.
It was nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting everyone.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.